Thank you for joining us for today's discussion of the district tournaments for both 1A, 2A, and 3A schools. We'll be on a couple of places throughout the state. Again, we'll be advancing the top 8 from each regional district tournament to the state championship. We'll jump over to the TAPS website for us just to give everybody an idea. So you go to www.taps.biz, click on athletics, scroll down and click on the word tennis. And then right there in the middle in blue, it says district tennis tournaments, 1A, 2A, and 3A. Click on that. At one point, the brackets will populate. Also there, you will find all the tennis information for the 3 tournaments. We'll just click on one of those real quick, 1A, 2A, 3A, and in green. I'm sorry, that's the brackets. Click on the brackets, obviously, are last year's. Click on the 1A North. And as you look at that, that's going to be all where we are, map to the facility, map of the facility payment. That's all the information you should need. But we're going to walk through that whole information packet here as we go through this seminar. Steve Pahulin, our athletic director, new to the staff, but he'll be out there at Arlington with Mr. Huckabee. Tell us a little bit about what to expect and where we're going to be about facilities.
Sure, thanks, Brian. We are really excited about the 2 sites that we have up in the north. We're going to be at the Arlington Tennis Center in Arlington, and in the south, the HEB Tennis Center in Kerrville. We want to make sure that we are good guests and that we are welcome to come back, and so please be aware of the facility rules. We will post a map of both facilities, but make sure when you get there that you park in the assigned areas, and even when you do that, be aware of those who might need assistance and need to park closer. Leave those spots open for them. As far as food, there will be minimal concessions available, so we are allowing outside food to be brought in. Just make sure, coaches, make sure your area is clean prior to you leaving. Hydration, be sure to bring enough water for your players all day. Bring your ice for your coolers and your water jugs. Ice and water will not be available at the facility, so be sure to come prepared for that. The team areas, there will be tent and team areas that are allowed in those designated areas, and we'll show that on the map, which we post later. Robert, can you talk to us about entries?
Thank you, Steve. As we get closer to the event, as Brian mentioned, that information is posted there on the website. We'll hop to that in just a minute, but just a few reminders about entries. Remember, each school is allowed 2 entries in singles and 2 entries in doubles per draw. That's boys and girls. Students may not play in both singles and the doubles draw, so keep that in mind. A single alternate can be named for both doubles teams. So if you have an alternate, you want to name that for either of your doubles teams, you're welcome to do that. We encourage you to do that in case something occurs. All entries should be made prior to the deadline. All seating information must be entered on the entry form prior to the entry deadline. We'll cover that in there is an entry fee of $35 per player. No fee is charged for your alternates. Will, if you would, bounce to the website again and let's look where we can find that entry information. That is after you've clicked on you've clicked on athletics now on the main site. Go down there to tennis, just like we showed earlier. Scroll down that dark blue district tennis tournament information for 1, 2, 3. Right button there that says district entry form. If you click on that, that'll take you to the form. It's self-explanatory. You can just bounce through your classification, your district, your gender, boys or girls, select your school, and then you can input your entries there. Remember, if you have 2 entries in a draw, 2 singles, you need to designate which one is A or B. Give us that seating information in that text box out. Beginner players, tell us they're a beginner player. That will help us as we seed the draws and go through that process for seeding. We'll go through that more in a minute. While we're talking about alternates, Brian, talk to us about substitutions as well.
As a reminder, we did change the rule a couple of years ago. You can have the same alternate for both doubles teams, so you don't have to have 2 separate people, but the person cannot have played as a single or in the other double. So bottom line, we're asking you to declare your alternates before. Substitutions can happen before the tournament. If you get there and you have to move your alternate in, you can do that. Obviously, if somebody gets sick or if 2 people get sick, you may have to drop an entire team or a couple of singles. We would allow substitutions if we can work them into the draw. So prior to the beginning of the tournament, changes can be made. However, once the tournament begins, no substitutions are allowed. So you can't play the first round. Somebody has to leave and put your alternate in. Once the tournament begins, no substitutions are allowed. Steve, talk to us about the dress code and our expectations this year.
Sure, Brian. Once again, in the theme of being a good guest that's welcome back, we want to keep the dress code in mind. Remember that your kiddos are going to represent TAPS and your school as well. So make sure that all of your players are appropriately dressed. That means standard tennis shorts, shirts, and flat bottom shoes are to be worn at all times. A couple things that we do not want to see out there: no tank tops, no muscle shirts, spaghetti straps, cut off jeans, shorts without pockets, any shoes other than approved court shoes. If your kiddos are in spandex or similar style shorts or leggings, they must be covered with modesty shorts, and this would include yoga pants and things of the like. Brian, what can you talk to us about seating?
As every time we get to a tennis tournament, seating is of prime importance. So Robert mentioned earlier on your entries form, you're going to be putting seating information. So what is seating information? What helps the TAPS office determine who are unseated players and where you go in the bracket? So seating information is what they did last year if they're a returning player. Were they first in the district, fourth in the district? Did they win state? But also this year, how many tournaments did they play in? Did they play in duels? They have a 3-5 record or a 5-3 record. So examples of seating information: current season match results, USTA rankings, the juniors universal tennis rating. What is their UTR if they have one? Again, previous years, and head-to-head matches with district opponents. So if you have played 2 or 3 schools, it's always important to know head-to-head with the people I'm getting ready to play in the district tournament, how did I fare against them? So as we do seating, very important. Again, seating information is found in the TAPS bylaws. It's also found on the TAPS website. Go to www.taps.biz, click on athletics, click on tennis, and then scroll down. You'll find the seating. Robert, tell us how seating is going to play into brackets and what to expect in bracket development.
So once we receive all the entries and we are ready to populate those brackets, we'll take that seating information for each draw in each classification for the day you're coming, and we'll develop the brackets. TAPS will use all that seating information to determine the seat for the tournament. Players and teams from the same school will try not to have adjustments have to be made, and players or teams might meet in the semifinals. It will depend on the number of entries we have from respective schools. We'll do our best to keep you separated as long as possible if you're from the same school. You could meet in the semis, but hopefully not until the finals. On play-in contest, if we have a draw that exceeds 16 entries, we'll be doing 16 team or player brackets. If we have a draw that exceeds 16, we'll have to have maybe a couple of play-in matches. When you see that posted, and as we get the schedules getting closer to that for each of the respective tournaments, those play-in games will be the first ones we'll play that morning to get those rolling in that particular draw. Those will be required. When we have more than 16, it'll be kind of a blind draw for how those happen, and those that the main bracket. But that'll also help work through that as well. All the brackets will be posted on the TAPS website. There'll be a front-side draw for those that win their matches. For those that lose in that first round, there's a backside draw. Tournament. Those that won their first match on the front side, they'll drop down and play for those top 8 spots. Our goal is top 8 qualifiers for the state tournament. On that backside of the first round, that ultimate consolation winner gets an opportunity to come back and play for that last spot as the state qualifier. Steve, talk to us about the tournament. Talk to us about some of the details of balls that are provided in our tournament schedule.
Sure. First of all the tennis balls for your matches will be provided by TAPS. Just be aware of that. If we look at the tournament schedule, the dates are and the times are the same whether you're north or south. Remember, the north is going to be at the Arlington Tennis Center. At the south, it's at Kerrville HEB Tennis Center. But 1A, both north and south, will be on April 5th. 2A, both north and south, April 4th, and 3A will be April 3rd. In both cases, in both sites, the facility will open at 7:30. And the first matches will start at 8:30. One of the things you have to be aware of all the time is weather. Brian?
We never won it, but it seems like every now and then that deadly rainstorm comes in to attack the brackets and attack the day. We will have a policy of hold and play. So unless we are totally rained out, we'll learn how to squeegee court, squeegee and dry them well. We will hold. Both facilities have lights. So if we have to hold and play into the night, we will. So just be prepared. If weather comes, we could be there for a very long day, or we may delay starts based on what we see. So weather is always there. If we get totally washed out, then we will most likely use April the 6th as a rain out day for that opportunity, but we'll do our very best. Talking about a timeline for the, as Steve mentioned earlier, the facility opens at 7:30, so you'll get to the facility. You can begin warm-ups once you get there. There will be a brief coaches meeting. Then we'll have a player meeting where the officials and TAP staff will address the players. We'll take a lunch break if there's possibility of taking that way. We may take a lunch break, but the matches will play on. So don't anticipate all matches stopping from 12 to 1. So we will play through. So if your players come off the court at 11, good opportunity there to feed them. If they come off at 12, do that. So it's going to be a rolling opportunity. The concluding matches, just remember that those do change a little bit. They go to 2 out of 3, or they could be pro sets as agreed upon by the 2 opponents and their coaches. And then we will distribute awards and have them leave at that point. So the bottom line is the concluding matches, we hand out 1st through 4th place, and then the team awards will be distributed as well. The warm-ups as we go to the field, obviously we do not have unlimited warm-up court, so everybody will be on one court per team if possible. Share when you can. Our priority is to get the first round matches warmed up, and then as we go through the day, pre-match warm-up would be no more than 5 minutes. So again, we will have boys singles and boys doubles draws, girls singles and girls doubles draws. The play, that's going to be based on how many. Right now, based on the surveys we've received, there are a couple of draws with 20. Obviously, you'd want to get those play-in matches started earlier and get those draws started earlier. So we will have, based on the number of players and matches in each draw, that will determine which draws begin first each day. The tournament format is championship match will be 2 out of 3 with a super tiebreaker for the third. All other matches, front and back side, are 8-game pro sets. We are going to do no ad scoring, and there will be a tiebreaker if tied at 8-all. So again, tiebreaker at 8-all. So you're going to play up to 8. If you can win 9-7, but if you do stuff at 8, you'll go to a tiebreaker. We'll play out all draws if possible, but again, if weather forces or other factors make it impossible, we want to do everything to conclude the tournament in one day and not come back. So we may have to modify some scoring, or we may have to modify the brackets a little bit. Robert, as we're talking about scoring, obviously we're doing 8-game pro sets, and then, like I said, 2 out of 3 for the championships. But what about the team scoring? Because there is a team element in these tournaments.
There is, Brian. Although tennis is an individual sport, there is a team component of our awards, and each match played and each player you have in the tournament potentially is earning points towards the team total. All matches are included in the scoring. That includes a bye. So if you have a bye, you'll get points awarded for that as well. On the front side of the draw, meaning if you're winning your matches, there's 1 point for playing in that match, and then if you win that match, there's an additional 1.5 points. So if you're on the front side and you win a match, that's worth 2.5 points toward the team total. On the back side of the draw, there's 1 point for the match, and there's a 0.5 point for winning that match. We'll be tracking that as the tournament progresses. And by the end of the day, we'll be able to know who those team awards are and be able to pass those out as well. Health and safety is always a priority at all of our events. Steve, talk to us about that just a little.
Sure. TAPS is arranged for on-site athletic trainers provided by Children's Health Andrews Institute. Those will be at both sites during the entire tournament. In addition, TAPS is going to provide roving officials for each tournament. Robert, can you give us more information on that?
Sure, Steve. We've been blessed to have great officials covering our district tournaments for us in the South and in the North. So we will be having generally at least a couple of roving officials for each tournament. They will be USTA certified officials. They will assist our players throughout the day. If there's questions about a ruling, they'll help with that. If there are any infractions, they'll help address those. If there is a dispute between players over a point or how something was played, they will step in and assist the players to apply the rules appropriately. what they're not there to do. If there's a dispute, they're not to go to one particular match and start calling lines and calling service faults and those kind of things. If players are in a dispute or there's a disagreement about a call or how the match is going, what the official will do at that point is we'll grab the coaches from both schools. We'll get them over there to assist their players in walking through. We have some beginners that sometimes struggle with scoring, maybe certainly when we get to tiebreakers and those kinds of things. So our officials will help train and educate them as they go through that process, and they'll be there to assist us to handle any issues in a roving fashion as we go throughout the day. Steve, talk to us a little about advancers and awards from our district to our state tournament.
Certainly. Remember, you are qualifying your athletes here for the TAP State Championships. We qualify the top 8 to the TAP State Championships. As far as awards, we will be awarding the top 4 individuals in each draw, as well as the top 3 teams. Brian, you have final words for us.
Again, we're excited to be having tennis coming back up here in about 6 weeks. It will be April the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. We look forward to seeing everybody either in Arlington or in Kerrville. Thank you for taking the time to walk through this information. We encourage you to go back to the TAPS website. Again, the tennis information located on the tennis page, www.taps.biz. Click on athletics, click on tennis, click on District 1, 2, and 3A. Appreciate you joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you soon for TAPS Tennis 2023.